You're listening to Instead We Made a Pod, a Eurovision podcast brought to you by the Phoenix ESC.
Everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Instead We Made a Pod. It's been a hot minute since we did this. I've had to dust off my podcaster's voice again. I think after the events of 2024, it's safe to say that most of us at Phoenix needed a little bit of a break from talking about Eurovision for a while. But with a new season comes hopefully some changes, and it also comes with some new national finals and some new songs, and we're back to talk about them. I am MJ, and today I am joined by my lovely co-host for this episode, Georgia. Hi, Georgia.
Hey, I'm so happy to be back. I'm so ready for the new season and just so excited for what this season brings. Hopefully a bit less chaos. Hopefully.
If it could bring even marginally less chaos than last year, that would be a blessing.
Definitely.
I feel like I've only just recovered from all of the chaos of 2024 and, you know, hoping for a more sedate 2025 in personally Eurovision Ali.
just everything.
Just everything Ali. Obviously, we would normally be also joined by my lovely co-host Adam. He is unfortunately busy. However, that does not matter too much because, Georgia, which national final are we going to talk about today?
We are going to talk about Finland's national final, UMK.
And of course, when we spoke about UMK last year, Georgia was our host for that. She's our resident Finnish superfan. So what way better to hit Instead We Made a Pod 2.5, I guess, season 2.5, off with a bang, but to talk about UMK with Georgia. And Georgia, we must have been doing something right on that episode because Aaron told me that it was the most listened to episode of the last season.
That's incredible. Like, so many people wanted to listen to us just crying over the result of last year's UMK and the fact that Paskana didn't win.
Oh, don't even. That's another thing. I'm still not over. I feel like I'm definitely going to talk about Paskana at least once, and people are going to be like, MJ, move on.
Honestly, that's fine.
But yeah, quite comforting to think that clearly a lot of people liked hearing us yapping about all things Finland.
Yeah.
Now, some of you might be listening to this and thinking, MJ, UMK hasn't happened yet. What's going on? Obviously, last year, we spoke about national finals. After they'd happened, we gave our thoughts on the songs, what we liked, what we didn't like, how happy we were with the winner. And that was all well and good. But we've decided to switch things up this year. We've decided that instead of talking about national finals after the fact, when they've been and gone, and when, let's face it, we're in February, March, you're on to the next one in a matter of days, we're going to talk about national finals ahead of the fact this year. We're going to give our thoughts on the songs, as many of them as we can, and we're going to essentially predict what we think might happen based on the information we have so far, which I'm a little concerned is just going to reveal just how wrong we can get things here at the Phoenix ESC. But we'll just see how it goes. So, Georgia, what are your thoughts on UMK 2025 overall, as an overall package of songs?
We're going straight in there.
Yeah, I'm just coming straight out the gate. Hard question. What are your thoughts?
So, I actually think this year is not as strong as the previous couple of years we've had. Finland have seemed to be on an upwards trajectory the last couple of years with obviously the absolute landslide with Karja. Last year's UMK was absolute hit after hit. It was amazing. The quality was just stellar. Production-wise, like, everything has seemed very polished, but there's something I think this year with the quality of the songs necessarily isn't quite hitting the same as previous years. I think it's quite nice as well. I think we'll talk through the songs as we go, but it's quite nice to see quite a female-dominated lineup as well. And obviously, the difference in songs we've got, although typically we've seen like a historical pattern with Finland that they change track every couple of years with the type of songs that they've sent. With this year's lineup, I can't quite see that happening this year. But that's kind of a preview of all the stuff that we're going to talk about later, I think.
Definitely. And I 100% agree with you. I think that the overall package of UMK, especially if you think about 2023 and 2024, has been so strong. There's kind of always been something for everyone in both of them. The songs have been, by and large, really strong. The show has always been impeccable. I am in no doubt that I think 2025 is going to be a brilliant show. From a production standpoint, I think it's going to be seamless. I think we're going to see some incredible staging, and I think we're going to get more of the kind of increasingly polished, bombastic production that we've come to expect and love from UMK, and I'm excited for that. However, song-wise, I agree. I don't think this is the strongest selection of songs that we've seen from Finland. I think the problem maybe there is that from a Eurofans perspective, people have had such high expectations of Finland. They have seemed like they were on this upwards trajectory, and it feels like they could be this year, but in terms of the overall package of songs, it's not as much of a given, I think, as it has been. Certainly in 2023, when Carrier was really the main contender to Loreen for the crown. Obviously, 2024, No Rules really divided opinions. I think George is laughing because she can tell that every ounce of restraint in me is trying not to go, Baskina was robbed. I'm still not over
There
it.
we go. We're just going to say it once and then it's fine.
You know what? I just need to get it off my chest. That's all I needed to do. And we can leave Baskina in 2024, even though I definitely still listen to that song in 2025. But yeah, people weren't necessarily all happy with No Rules winning, but that was probably because as an overall package of songs, people felt there were really strong contenders in there, multiple strong contenders. This year, I mean, we'll get to it. I feel like there's one song that's kind of a shoe-in, and I can't help but have the little tinfoil hat on my head that maybe the overall selection is not as strong because I really want this person to go.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I know exactly what you're talking about, and I feel like we're sharing that tinfoil hat right now.
Yeah. It's a big enough hat for both of us, Georgia. Don't worry. There's room for everyone.
Nice.
So I guess without further ado then, we'll start by talking about the first song to come out. Obviously, the format of UMK, we get one song released sort of throughout the week. And the first one that we got this year was Nightmare by Mia River. Georgia, what are your thoughts on this song?
So for the first song revealed, I thought this was really a really good song for a first reveal. I thought it was really strong. I definitely thought I can already hear this at a Euro club. The moment I heard it, I was like, right, get me to a Euro club, play this now. I'm bopping. It's great. It definitely feels like the fans of a Euro dance banger, think like Cascada. I mean, that's just all I was thinking immediately going through it. It's quite retro, but also quite current. It's a good polished song, just follows the typical, just banger formula almost. Staging wise, I've already thought I've been thinking about staging and thinking about how is this going to appear on the stage. I'm not sure what this one will be like, but it does need to have something there. Otherwise, I think it will feel like quite static. We had that issue with previous entries, Kuma with Ilvoy Mainen back in 2023. They had an absolute banger of a song, but the staging was quite static, and I think that let it down. And I'm really worried that I can see that Nightmares going down the same route and we can have that same issue again. But it's such a good song and such a polished Eurodance banger that I think even if it doesn't necessarily win, it'll be one of those songs that you hear in a Euro club for like decades to come, hopefully. Or maybe that's just me being wishful thinking.
I mean, Georgia, we know that you love dancing to a national final song in a club and may have ended upon some news channels for doing so.
Oh, no. Maybe. Can neither confirm nor deny that one.
Someone maybe danced to a certain Maltese song and made Maltese news recently.
So we're only 2 weeks into the new year, and how have How have we already made international news?
I am impressed.
2025 has peaked.
Yeah, and we're only in January. That's kind of sad. I agree with you on Nightmare. The first thing I thought when I heard it was, yes, we're going to Helsinki 2013. It's very sort of that 2010s Euro pop. You said Cascada. I completely agree. That was sort of glorious, was one of the first things I thought. It's definitely got that kind of vibe to it, which I don't mind. I enjoy that at Eurovision. And I agree with you. I could totally hear this at Euro Club. I imagine I could hear this in Basel in the background while I'm crying about the price of a beer, probably, because Switzerland's very expensive. But yeah, it's a fun sort of catchy sort of Eurodance pop song. Do I see this winning? No, I don't. I really hope that she can sell those vocals live because I do think she's got a great voice. I agree with you. I do wonder how this is going to look staging wise. I think, and I know that you're a fan of this song too, Georgia, if they did kind of a Sarah Alto like Monsters type thing where she was just being flung around that stage, that would really help it pop. But I agree with you. I worry that perhaps it's just going to be a bit still. And I don't think that's the energy for a song like this.
No, it'll be an all or nothing, I think. And we'll have to wait and see until the night. But Sarah Alto staging would suit it perfectly, but whether that would also almost be a detriment to the vocals, whereas a static staging would benefit the vocals, but then it wouldn't suit the song. It'll be interesting to see what route they go down.
Definitely. And we'll just have to wait and see. I also think that for a lot of these songs, and we'll talk about this when we get to some of the others, I think running order is going to play a big part in
Definitely
how some of these songs are received compared to how perhaps they've been received just as they've been released during the week.
Yeah, definitely. I think there was a good order in the release order, whereas the running order always differs from that. So it'll be interesting to see what is put where, because also I guess it will depend on the staging as well. So when it's the full package, what's going to hinder what and what will benefit what and where will this go? This could be a pretty good show opener, even though it was the first song revealed, or it could be a good show closer. I think that's where I could see it, but it'll be interesting to see when the staging comes to play, where it's actually put.
Yeah, and we've also got some songs that are a bit similar sounding, I think, this year.
Yes.
Will this song end up falling victim to being in the middle just to kind of break them up a bit?
Yeah, that's very true. I think that's the one thing with this year that we haven't necessarily had in previous years is there's a lot more similar sounding things rather than so much like difference. And as you said before, something for everyone. There's a lot less of that this year. So they've got to break it up somehow.
Yeah. Our next song was Hitamin Hautan by Nelly Matula. Georgia, how do you like this song?
So Hitamin Hautan by Nelly Matula, that translates as Slower to the Grave. It's another incredible pop song. I absolutely love her vocals. I've known Nelly Matula from previous music. Friends of mine will have to endure me going on about screaming maybe a little bit about a certain Robin Packalen as Nelly Matula.
Georgia, that doesn't sound like you.
No, not at all. So I knew Nelly
Robin
Matula.
Packalen.
There we go. I've got the link in. So Nelly Matula released a song with Robin Packalen, and that's where I knew her from. So I was quite expectant when I first heard that she was going to be in UMK. I was quite excited to hear this. Hitamin Hautan, it's just such a beautiful pop song, lyrically about enjoying the life you have, and the joy of this really comes across in the music video. And that sense of freedom from her dancing in the music video and the music, and essentially the full package was just so uplifting, and it was just beautiful. Also, just side note, she is a beautiful dancer as well, and you can really see that in the music video and the visuals there. I think this one, the staging for it is already there in the music video. Just bring that room box prop thing on stage. I think that would be beautiful. To me, this is a song that I've kind of grown to love over the last week or so. It didn't really click when I first heard it, but after I've listened to it more and also listened to some of the other entries from this year, I've really grown to love this song. It is beautiful. There are some really big notes in there as well that I think could really be elevated live on stage. Like, Nelly's got an amazing voice, so I just think this could be absolutely perfect on stage. And I'm just really excited to see how this all comes to life on the UMK stage.
Yeah, I think this is one of those that's going to be made or broken by staging, because like you said, it's one of my favourites in the selection. I think I have it third, but I agree with you. It takes a little while to click, and for a national final where so many people are probably only going to be hearing this for the first time that night, you really don't want a song to take a while to click. You need it to click instantly. It's a beautiful song. She's a beautiful singer. I think Finnish is quickly becoming one of my favourite languages to hear sung. I think it's such a beautiful sounding language through music. I really like this song, and I just really hope it comes with a good staging package that really helps it stand out from the rest. Because I worry that because it is more of a slow burner, that maybe it won't unless it can really be delivered. Although having said that, Nelly Matula, as you've mentioned, Georgia, is a really well-known Finnish singer. People at home are going to recognise her. So that will probably really help her chances, especially in a national final like UMK where the televote is, you know, such a huge part. I mean, it essentially sometimes might as well be the only part. We saw last year, you know, Windows 95 Man came bottom with the juries, but the televote score was so big that it didn't even matter. You know, maybe that kind of recognition will also help her as well in terms of her overall standing. Again, this isn't what I have predicted to be the winner, though. We'll probably take a little while to get to that one. Third to be released was a song that I don't know why, but when I heard this, I thought, I feel like Georgia's going to like this. I'm well prepared to eat my words. It just felt a bit Georgia coded. And that is Sakaisin by Costi. Georgia, am I right?
Yep.
Yeah. I heard it and I was like, this is so Georgia. Georgia's going to love this.
You're not the only one that said that either. I said it myself, and I've had other friends as well say, yeah, this is very you. So with Sakaisin, I think I described it as very boy band, but borderline dark pop. Very me.
They are like our two favourite genres, no?
Oh, very much so. It's just what I look for in a song. So title translates in the context of the song as messed up, which is consistently repeated through the chorus. When you look at it lyrically as well, almost vibes-wise, it's in a almost very similar vein to Mania from by Sex Main from last year, which was my winner then. It's similar in vibes, but approached in a different way, but also that's a very tenuous link between the two. I did get the vibes that it was like the same but different, but it was nice. It's a very good, well-rounded pop song. I don't think it's competitive. I feel like it doesn't really go anywhere. There's a lot of opportunities for bigger, not to sound like a certain UK Eurovision entry, but there's a lot of opportunity for bigger. It's a good, well-rounded pop song, like I said, but I feel like it almost needs a revamp in order to bring something like more to the stage, more impact, and maybe for it to stand out among this year's entries. With that being said, I absolutely adore the song. I love it. It's just everything I personally would want in a song and more. And I think that's very evident by pretty much everyone that I know saying, yeah, this song's your song, Georgia.
It really is. And I'm so glad that you just said all that, because I thought this was going to be the kind of thing that you would really like. And then you confirmed it was, and you were talking about it, and you compared it to Sex Main, which I knew was your winner last year. And I was like, oh no, I'm going to have to be kind of negative about the song and just like rain on Georgia's parade a little, and that's going to make me feel really guilty. And then you said essentially what I completely agree with, which is that this is a good song. It's a nice song, but I agree with you. I don't think this is competitive enough. I think it wasn't helped by sort of the release of songs at this point that we'd had. So obviously we get a song every night. Nightmares, great. Hitamin, Hotan, okay. Then we got this, and I was like, I'm not sure I'm liking the sort of selection as much so far this year. Because I agree with you, I think it's a fine song, but I almost feel like that's the kiss of death when you're talking about a competition like UMK, or obviously when we get to Eurovision, the Eurovision Song Contest. A song that's good but not competitive is just, it's just not going to do anything. You know, a song that maybe some people think is really bad, it's going to polarize opinions, but you can't vote against a song and people are going to remember it. Whereas if you have a song that maybe people are going to forget, that's a problem. My issue with this is that when I listen to it, I enjoy it. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is fine. But then when I come away from listening to all the songs, I don't really remember it. And I think, are people going to have the same problem when they pick up their phones to vote at the end of the night? I really hope that he can do something to elevate it. I agree with you. I think some kind of revamp would be, you know, just what this needed. I think it just needs something to boost it and to make it pop. Because at the moment, my concern is that this would languish at the bottom, not because it's a bad song, but just because, you know, there were other songs that people remembered and resonated with a lot more.
Yeah, I think on this one, it's got the opportunity almost to do something with the staging, but you also don't want the staging to be the thing that sells it. You want the song because it's going to be part of the Eurovision Song Contest if it wins, ultimately.
Yeah, completely. I think that ultimately, you're right, it does need to be the full package. You know, it needs to be a strong song with strong staging. Strong staging with a kind of middle of the pack song still isn't going to do anything. And we've seen that time and time again at the Eurovision Song Contest. Up next, we had Aina by Vivi. Georgia, what do you think about this?
So I genuinely think Aina is an absolutely stunning song. It's a stunning ballad, and as our only ballad this year, spoiler for the other songs, I really do hope it stands out. Vivi's voice is absolutely incredible. It's just lyrically and by musically as well, it's so simple, it's so elegant, and there are so many big notes, big moments, big opportunities that I just hope stand out live. I have cried listening to this, which I think that's usually my indicator of if a ballad is any good. I will say I did cry at Pascana last year, so it's a good indicator if a ballad's good. Staging wise as well, I just hope it's simple enough to let the song be showcased. For example, in the music video, there's an effect where it goes from like quite a harsh white light to almost a warm white light when like she gets to the chorus. I think that would work so beautifully on stage. But I also know that Vivi is an incredible live singer. I've seen a couple of her live performances. I will mention as well that she has a collaboration with a certain other Finnish singer that I'm very well known for loving, that I have definitely not already mentioned on this podcast. Robin Packalen, a former UMK contestant. That song was top of the Finnish charts for a while. So she's known. It's known that her vocals are incredible. I think this could be a standout in this year's UMK. This is one that I would love to get a chance to go to Eurovision. I say get a chance because I think there are other songs that might put a stop to this.
I agree with you. And if you are listening along, what you might want to do at this point, depending on when and where you are listening to this episode, is maybe do a shot every time Georgia manages to reference Robin Packalen in this episode.
I'm sorry to all of the listeners who may be participating in that game.
Step 1, take a shot every time Georgia mentions Robin Packalen. Step 2, hope you live near a hospital. I think that Aina is beautiful too. She's got an amazing voice. I think this is a very clean, sophisticated, simple ballad. I will say, and I'm only doing this because you mentioned Pascana first, so I didn't have to. With that kind of been the resident sort of ballad of last year, obviously I prefer Pascana because I like my ballads to rip my heart out, throw it on the floor and stamp on it in front of me. And that's exactly what Paskina did. I don't think Ina's doing that to me, but it does touch something. And I think that you're right. I think that this could really benefit by there being nothing like it in UMK this year, really. You know, we've either got kind of pop or kind of rock. We don't have this type of song apart from Ina. And I agree with you. I don't think that Vivi has to do much in terms of the presentation of this. Get the lighting right, get her stood on that stage, letting her vocals, which are great, she's an incredible singer, get her to let her live vocals do the talking. I would imagine she'll be in some beautiful gown. And I think that it could really stand out for that, because I don't think we're going to see that staging wise this year from any of the other songs either. I feel like, in terms of making a prediction for this, I don't know where it'll rank overall, but I feel like juries are going to love this. Obviously, the jury vote is, what, 25%?
Yeah, if it's the same as before, it's 25-75 split. So even if this does top the juries, which I would really hope it would, it just depends on what the televote and the public say, doesn't it, ultimately?
Yeah, and my feeling is that Finns maybe don't tend to favour a ballad as a televoting public, but equally, Paskina came second with the televote, so we'll wait and see, I guess. But yeah, my early prediction is that I think juries are going to love this, and that this might even win the jury vote. We still have 2 more songs left to discuss, and the penultimate song, Made Of by Goldilocks. Georgia, how were you feeling about this song?
There was something that didn't click at the start, but it has definitely grown on me since then. It is very much earworm material. I do love it now. However, I am struggling to see it as competitive the same way I'm struggling to see Sekkasin as competitive. I think there's maybe, again, not enough moments in this that would necessarily elevate it on stage. I think there's moments from the music video that would be quite good in the staging. If you've seen the music video, Goldilocks is within almost like a model village looking like a giant, and I think that might make some quite interesting and unique staging if that concept is brought over. But it does feel like it needs a big moment either on stage or, again, like Sekkasin, a revamp to give it like that big moment, say a big note. There are opportunities in the song for a big note, and I think to catch like attention, especially in a final when you've got songs such as ones that we haven't yet discussed, and songs like Ina as well, which are, yes, a ballad rather than a pop song, but will have big notes and big moments. You do need a big moment. I think a chill pop song such as Made Of is probably going to fly under the radar a little bit more. But saying that, I do love the song. It's great. It's very radio friendly. I could definitely hear this on the radio. It's definitely in my Spotify playlist. I love listening to it.
I agree with you. I think that this does need something. There is a danger that this will get lost. I think it's such a great song. It's in my Spotify playlists already. I agree with you. I think that the music video concept would be such a cool staging concept, and I really hope they bring that over. I think the bass line is it just has so much groove, and it's so cool. And this is the kind of music I really enjoy listening to. I could see this kind of being put somewhere in the running order where it kind of acts as a little palate cleanser before we ultimately end up getting something sort of much bigger. So I agree with you. I think she needs something to stand out and maybe get some jury votes as well, because another thing that I worry about with this song is that there's quite a lot of what has come to be known as cursive singing. I really like Goldilocks' voice, but she is a bit guilty of cursive singing. And there is a worry that that just might fall flat live and it just might not go as well for her. And that would be a real shame, because I do think this is a good song. It is one I keep coming back to, so I would like to see it do well. There is one more song that we have yet to discuss, and I think it's really, really fitting that this is the climax of the podcast. Ich komme by Erika Vickman. Georgia, why don't you start us off?
Well, so this one, maybe controversially, I don't really like too much.
Really?
I wasn't a fan when I first heard it. It's growing on me slightly though, but I just wasn't a fan when I first heard it. It was a lot. And I think maybe it's a little overwhelming to begin with. Also, I'm expecting nothing less from Erica. That's the thing. I think in the build up to it, I said it's going to be a disaster pop, either in the best way or the worst way. I'm still on the fence as to where I think it falls. I think it is growing on me now. That's the one thing. I do think it's very interesting as a song. It's quite empowering almost to hear, like, lyrically, Erica singing so openly about the specific topic. I'm also really interested to see how, not just how she wants to stage it, but how she's allowed to stage it. And then also, if it does happen to go all the way to Eurovision, how she's allowed to stage it there as well. We're used to a fair bit of innuendo in Eurovision. This is the complete opposite, and I do think she could get away with it if the staging was more subtle, but I absolutely cannot see that happening. However, and this is almost inspired by a point that ESC Harry made in his UMK review on YouTube. Last year, the UK staging, it was quite expressive and quite overtly sexual, and that was to its detriment. We saw, obviously, Ollie got the dreaded nil point. I think there's a worry for me that if Erica does go to Eurovision after winning UMK, she's hugely popular, she's got the backing of like Kyria, there's a very real possibility that could happen. If the staging matches the concept of the music video and she doesn't change it much for Eurovision, could that fall to the detriment of the song? We've seen it again, as I said, we've seen it fail in the past. There's nothing to say that couldn't happen again. We've seen history repeat itself a lot. But overall, I think I'm as yet undecided. I feel like it's one of those, I'm like, after maybe a couple more listens, maybe I'll get it, maybe it will click. But from what it started out as, I started out as really not liking it, and now I'm like, it's okay. And I feel I know I'm in the minority there. I know that this has been a very popular song. It's got a lot of reactions. So I'm hoping eventually I will get it and I will be eating my words and I will be absolutely loving the song. But for now, I'm a bit on the fence with it.
Interesting. I really love this. I love this so much. The first time I heard it, I'd already seen friends of mine, some of them absolutely loving it, some of them really not liking it. And I was like, interesting, okay. And then I first listened to it, I was on my way to work on Friday morning, and I had it in my headphones while I was doing my Polish lesson on Duolingo. And was sort of half listening to it, half not, because obviously Polish is really hard, and I sort of had to give that most of my attention. I quickly realised that this is not the kind of song that you can really listen to while you're doing your Duolingo for the day. When I gave this my full attention, I was like, oh no, this is genius. This is brilliant. And I agree with you. I think I'm very intrigued as to how she's going to stage this and just how overt she's going to be. I personally wouldn't mind her being overt for the subject matter, if only because we've seen men at Eurovision be pretty overt. I mean, obviously, ESC Harry talked about Dizzy. That staging, as you mentioned, was incredibly in your face. And even with Finland last year, I mean, Windows 95 man was running around on stage with seemingly no pants. So I wouldn't mind it being kind of overt, but my feeling is that she's going to go with similar aesthetics to the music video. And I think that would be perfect for this, because it's just enough that if the refrain left you in any doubt about what this song is alluding to, then the visuals really hammer it home, but not in a way that feels cheap or, you know, kind of a bit sort of gross. You know, it's done really well. And I think that I could see her doing something like that on stage. I think that we're going to get a whole production, a whole show. Erica Vickman does absolutely nothing by halves. And I think she's come here, if you'll pardon the pun, to win. I think that would be really nice for her. Obviously, in 2020, she came really close, and even if she had won, she wouldn't have had the chance to go. There's something this year about people who competed to go to Eurovision in 2020 and came second, coming back again. Well, actually, it was just Alvana, but weird that it happened twice.
Well, hopefully Erica doesn't suffer the same fate as Alvana.
What would the equivalent of Ziem be in UMK this year?
Oh, I don't know. Would it be Ida?
I am prepared to eat my words. I think Erica Vickman's walking this one. I think with such a huge portion of the televote, we already know that Erica Vickman's obviously really well known and really popular. This song is already doing really well in Finland. I think that the staging is going to be really good for this as well. I think that bit where it starts to get really fast, which obviously, if you know what the song is about, you will understand why that happens. And if you don't understand, I'm not going to explain it to you. I can just imagine there being some like strobe lights and just really kind of, that's just this huge thing. Maybe some pyro in there at the end. I think this is going to be such a moment on stage. If Ina doesn't win the juries, I actually wouldn't be surprised if this did as well. And if maybe we saw a kind of carrier result where the televote would have been more than enough to send him on his own, but then even the juries were absolutely loving him as well. I think that we often expect the juries to sort of go for the most classically kind of performed ballad, but there are juries that love this kind of thing from Finland as much as the next person, and it's an international jury, right?
Yeah, it is. So I think it would definitely be interesting to see how that's viewed, because if you see, like, from the past, like Cha 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 had that, like you said, massive jury appeal. Erica, obviously no stranger to the UMK stage, no stranger to both Karja, being performed with Karja last year on the UMK stage in Interlag with the song Roska. Also, best mates with Karja. Was had Karja's approval on the song, which I think is pretty cool.
That is cool.
That I just think that I agree with you. I can see this going going all the way, and I definitely wouldn't be mad. Like, I think this would be, although I've said it hasn't really clicked for me, the whole message of the song, like the empowerment of it, I think that would be such an incredible thing to just like have just in Eurovision, which is representing a country. Because also, you get all these songs about men like expressing themselves freely. You don't necessarily get them about women, and you don't necessarily get it from a female perspective. And I just think that's so cool that Erica is almost like not maybe paving the way, but like just so freely and so openly, like being like, yeah, this is what I'm singing about. Like, I'm not explicitly going to say that's what I'm singing about, but I'm singing about it. And what are you going to do?
Yeah, and do you know what? We've skirted around the nature of what Ishkoma is about, but I'm just going to stick my neck on the line and say I'd love to hear more songs about the female orgasm at Eurovision. If this starts a whole new trend, like, Cha 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 kind of paved the way for these kind of alternative acts sort of coming in, bring it on. I can imagine this so vividly in the arena in Basel as well. That chorus with the kind of chanting of Ishkoma, I can just imagine all of the crowd singing that. And not to mention that Basel is a German-speaking part of Switzerland. If we're going to have sort of German-speaking Swiss people in the crowd, that could be such a big moment, maybe kind of similar to what Rim Tim Taggy Dim got last year in terms of crowd interaction.
If there's one thing Finland are going to do, is they're going to have a song that will have incredible crowd reaction. Think Cha Cha Cha. Just Cha Cha Cha, Liverpool 2023. Though that, you could probably hear that from outside the arena. I wouldn't be surprised if Ishkoma won and went to Eurovision. You'd probably be able to hear that outside the arena. I just think it's one thing Finland have shown they can do well, and I'm so excited because I do genuinely think that this would be almost a return to form for Finland. And it wouldn't be like a copy. That's the other thing. It's not like it's a copy of Karja. It is Erica's own style. It's Erica's own like brand. It's a new thing for Finland. it's not following the same pattern.
100%. It's what Finland does well, I think. And I don't mind seeing something like that again. It would also break the trend, Georgia, and I know that you will appreciate this as a Hoida Mutt fan. It would break the trend of sexy songs in Finland getting paid dust.
Justice for Hoida Mutt.
Hoida Mutt came last in 2023. Cremoire came last year. I know that both of us were not happy about either of those results. Ishkama would be a song about a sexy topic doing well in UMK.
Finland, you have one job.
Don't let us down, Finland. So obviously we've been talking about our predictions as we've gone along. It comes probably as no surprise that I think that we are going to see Ishkama win this selection. Georgia, do you have any predictions, and do you think you have a winner?
So my personal UMK winner is very different to the one that I think is actually going to win. So my personal winner is Aina by Vivi. Obviously, I've said I cried to it. It's just absolutely stunning. It's an incredible ballad. And that comes as a shock to me as well, because I'm probably the furthest from a ballad person that you could probably ever meet. I'm very much that boy band pop, give me the Eurodance songs. So you would have thought either Nightmares or Sekasin, but nah, it's Aina. However, I do think Ikkoma is going to take the win. I hope Ikkoma takes the win. I could see a world where Aina takes the jury and Ikkoma storms the televote, almost in a last year scenario. However, I can't see Ikkoma coming last in the jury. So there will be no world where Ikkoma doesn't go. And I hope I don't have to eat my words there. I do really want them to send Ishkoma. I think ultimately you've also got the stage shows. Also, there's a staging that we won't know until February, until rehearsals start. That will be the ultimate telltale. I do really see Ishkoma taking the win. And I think that will be amazing as well, especially for Erica, who tried before and didn't manage to make it, although it was the year where nobody made it. So maybe silver linings or gold linings if you take the music video aesthetic.
Yeah, if you're going to not make it, at least a year when no one got to go, you'd feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
So that concludes our discussion of UMK 2025. We will be starting Spaces again on Twitter very soon, where we'll be giving all of our thoughts on songs after they've won. So what it might be quite nice for you to do with this new format is to listen to the episode and then tune into the space we'll inevitably do after UMK to see if we were right, if we were wrong, how we're feeling. And obviously in those spaces, it's much more of the Phoenix team, so you get to hear a much wider range of opinions as well. We will be starting up the spaces very soon, and we will be doing more national final episodes of the pod. Tune in again very soon for our thoughts on Vidbeer, and we will also be discussing Eurosong, and hopefully some of our contributors will get to go to that one as well, which would be very exciting. We will also be releasing lots of content on our website. During national final season, you'll be seeing articles about artists as we get them and their songs. We have articles where you can learn more about the national finals before they happen and listen to all the songs and hear about all the artists taking part. We're going to be really busy and we're going to be bringing you loads of great content. So keep your eyes and your ears peeled because it's going to be really great. Georgia, thank you so much for coming on. It's been great to have you and to talk about all things Finnish music again with you.
Thank you for having me. It's been amazing. And you know what? Never, ever going to turn down an opportunity to try and get a Robin Packlin reference in a Phoenix content.
She will always find a way to get a Robin Packlin reference on. I've also just realised that we really missed a trick. This would have been the perfect podcast episode to get an I Feel It Coming reference in as well.
No,
It was wrong.